I think the greatest thing that ever happened in South Florida broadcasting history was when the Marlins realized their egregious mistake
Yes.
of letting this man go from their broadcast there as the color analyst, where he was doing an outstanding job and it was beloved by everybody.
Yes.
And then, well, we're going in a new direction. I want to go. And tell you, well, you're not on board there, Tommy. But bringing him back, I think, was as monumental an accomplishment for the Marlins franchise as winning the 2 World Series. We welcome on the show the great Tommy Hutton. Tommy, how are you, my friend? Good to have you on the show.
Hey, well, first of all, I don't know if it compares with the 2 World Series, but I got to go back to the clip that you played before, the past clip, when I asked you to squeeze me a 20. I made that 20 back recently, taking the over-under on the wheelchairs for your junket to Atlantic City.
So. You hit that right away, man. People went straight to the window. They didn't even bother picking up their... You should see those people sprint, though, when they get to the Atlantic City airport, and then the bus is like, a few feet away, and they all just fly right out of the chair there, and it's like all of a sudden you're watching Carl Lewis in the track meet in the long jump. It's amazing.
Yeah, a new event in the Olympics. Yeah.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Are you sure this is the bus to Harris? Is this bus going to Harris?
Yeah, lady, all the buses are going to Harris. Where do you think we're going? Who put you on the flight?
It says Harris on the bus.
Now, will my luggage be in my room, or do I have to pick it up?
Oh, my God.
These people bring, they literally, you could load a dead body. I was talking about this yesterday. It's just like they have a coffin on wheels. So they're taking like their dead uncle to Atlantic City.
Now, he loved to play blackjack and roulette.
It's unbelievable. I love that Tommy Hutton picked up on that.
That makes me so happy that he's so.
No, Tommy gets the show. He really does. You're always hoping that people understand where you're coming from, that, a lot of this is BS. But, most of the stories, the best stories are the real ones, the stuff that really happened to you. Yeah. I mean, think about this, and you wonder how you're going to end up. I don't know, Lubie. Do you think about, like, what the final moment is going to be like at all? Do you see yourself, like, laying in bed, maybe with a little bit of morphine in your system there, just going, I love all of you people. Thank you so much.
That'd be wonderful. I hope it's peaceful.
Or is it more likely to be a fiery car crash?
That's what my fear is. I'm going to plummet off of the freaking 995. It's like, oh, this is how it's going to end.
In what way? How many ways are there to roll a 7? That's going to be the title of my book. How many ways are there to roll a 7? Now, I see myself dying peacefully, man. Maybe just floating away like Kirk Douglas in The Viking. Remember that, where they had the Viking funeral?
Yes.
And then, after you're already gone, when it doesn't matter anymore, they light the boat on fire. Okay, great. It's a nice little ceremony. Not before, after, Lubie.
Yeah.
I don't want you jumping the fucking gun on this. And I've always joked, but I'm serious about this. People don't really believe that I'm sincere about this. I am. I mean, there are many things. I'm telling the truth. I want my ashes spread now at the 16th bowl at Gulfstream Race course, Gulfstream Park, and because that's where all my horses died. I don't know about all of them. A lot of them just never even left the gate. Maybe I should be at the gate. Yeah, do that. Quite a few at the gate there.
Jesse will take the gate, and I'll take the 16 pole.
You get Billy Badgett's attention next time we're out there on Friday. The president of the guy that's running the racing operation there. You say, Billy, Defo, if you wouldn't mind, I think you have to. It's illegal to like throw somebody's ashes just arbitrarily somewhere, right?
Probably, yes.
In Florida. Yeah, I'm sure Ron would have shut that down a long time ago. What? You want to dump that in the ocean? What, are you kidding me? The environment.
The environment, yeah.
Is it really a bad thing to be awake to things? This whole anti-woke thing with DeSantis is... It really is like reverse logic, is it not? I mean, you would want people to be aware, no? I mean, wouldn't you think that some enlightened people... No, that wouldn't be good for him. That's for sure. All right, we don't want to start there because there's so many things happening. Good to be with you guys. And always a pleasure to be here on South Florida Live, the Defo Show. That's Mike Lubitz. Lubie has had to do some wild repairs in the last 15 minutes to the wall that serves as a much more festive and an appropriate background. And that was one of the things I used to hear about the show, and you're very sensitive because you don't know if any of this is going to work, right? I mean, you get canned from a job that you were, it wasn't necessarily the greatest job I ever had in radio, but I was having a good time. I was an old fart, and I'm thinking, hey, look at me. I'm hanging in there. I'm 70 years old. I'm still doing this shit. It's great, but we had to work hard. We had to hustle because we had to make our own money. You to a lesser degree, but I mean, you were getting paid. I guess you weren't doing any better than I was, which was nothing. From the station. It's funny too because later on we're going to talk to a gentleman here on the program that just bailed me out of a jam because I was trying to get this. What I thought was kind of a minor loan, considering my financial circumstances and wherewithal. Right? I mean, I own a place. I was trying to get like $100,000 mortgage against a place that's probably worth about what, a nickel, 500, maybe more.
Yeah, you're on the beach.
Yeah, no, I mean, I believe this. I took my walk of life last night. Late, kind of. I got going about 9 o'clock at night, and I really enjoy walking, especially these South Florida evenings here. How could it be in springtime? In the springtime, because it couldn't be any more euphoric or ideal. I mean, I didn't even have to get high to go out there last night.
That's nice.
I was high on life.
Okay.
I really was, Lubie.
I
walked outside, and I think, you guys could tell that we must be nearing a full moon because it really does have an impact on people that have the astrological sign of Cancer.
Okay.
Full moon. Not sure why, but an overwhelming feeling of peace and satisfaction comes over me around times of the full moon.
Nice.
I feel great about everything. So I'm walking last night. It was very still. It was not one of those thick, schwitzy humidity type of stills that you get in the summertime here, where you could cut the air with a knife, right? You need a machete just to walk, and there's nothing really in front of you except the street, right? But beautiful. I mean, absolutely just gorgeous out last night. And I thought, wow, I mean, look at this deal. You walked across the street to the beach in the afternoon. You're out there. You got all of these ocean breezes, and it's no hassle to get to anything here or do anything. And I have to say, I'm a big fan of spring break. Even at my, does that make me like the guy on the cover of the Aqualung album from Jethro Tull?
Like a dirty old man
Sitting on a park bench.
Hey,
how good was John Good Vibes Bonham? Was he the greatest rock drummer of all time? Can you say that without qualification? John Good Vibes Bonham. Now, there are a lot of great ones, man. A lot of great ones. A lot of people would go to Keith Moon, maybe The Who. Ever since I was a young boy, I played the silver ball. And Moon's going crazy. He's not even playing to the music the rest of the guys are. He's just going nuts. Soloing. I tell you, an underrated drummer, Lubie, Don Brewer, Grand Funk Railroad.
Oh, well.
Probably, I mean, a lot of people would go to Phil Collins on this and say the best singing drummer ever, Phil Collins. Phil Collins was more melodic
I didn't know
his singing.
Played drummer. I didn't even know that.
With Don Brewer, man, with the hair. Do you remember the guy? See, Grand Funk Railroad preceded the time, and I think they were already pretty much done by the time you... No, you didn't listen to any of this music, man. You guys have no music from your era. Nothing.
I've heard Don Brewer. I mean, that's like, you don't understand. That's what the old man says is the next generation's music's nothing. Anyways.
I mean, those were three guys putting out like, literally a tower of power, man. Grand Funk Railroad, Mark Farner and Don Brewer. And who was the other cat? I don't know. I know Brewer because I was a drummer and I thought, wow, that guy's great. Really great. Carmine Appice or Appice, there were a lot of good ones, but I don't think anybody ever touched John Good Vibes Bonham as an innovator, right? The Bonham triplets. Fantastic, man. Nobody could do it back then, right? And nobody sounded, the only guy that I ever heard that, I mean, other drummers can imitate Bonham now, but his son, Jason Bonham, actually sounds, how weird is that? I mean, with a little Lubie, what if he sounded and was exactly like you? In terms of maybe he went into broadcasting, which would be your career, and he sounded just like you. Oh, that's Shirley's worst fear?
Shirley has one of me. She doesn't need another. It's a lot.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that would be tough, right? Having two guys chirping at you with the same voice that you have.
Nagging and bitching.
I've come to enjoy your voice. I really do.
I appreciate that.
No, like I've told you many times, I remember the Polyman coming up to me and saying, what can I do about this voice? I was saying, hey, we should do a show together. And I said, nothing.
Embrace the shit out of it.
That's what it is
That's great.
about you that is even more appealing is the weird voice. I mean, the fact that your mind is warped like the rest of us, that's great, Maybe more so even than the rest of us. Paulie Man is a truly funny guy.
Yeah,
He
probably.
really, really was. I mean, one of the funniest guys I ever met. All right, how funny is this? So we were talking about this on our Defo on 5 this morning. And Scoop Skolnick now doing a great job of expediting the posting of that. So it may even be on at the same time. But you can catch this stuff anytime. That's the beauty of it, right? I mean, you're busy doing dishes early in the morning. Forget about it, man. You turn the thing on later. That's great. Busy getting to work. Do people actually have to hustle to go to work now, Lubie? Isn't it a pleasure not having to go anywhere? Imagine you always were thinking, hey, it'd be great to be going places in this business, right? Traveling around and doing a lot. Pleasure to just hop out of bed and do a show, is it not?
Yeah, I enjoy this.
What do you think?
I'm never going back. Like I'll do our remotes with Mayo, and you and I ever get remotes.
Yeah.
I'll do those remotes.
But you can't wait till the end.
Oh, I don't care about that. I'm just saying.
No. Oh, well, you like it because there's food involved.
That helps.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to an office every day. Like you were lucky.
Yeah.
You were at a fucking home. The entire COVID was going to the goddamn place.
That would have been a pain.
Hours a day. It sucked ass. And I'm never going back. So embrace this because this is how it's going to be.
One of the, better, impacts. I mean, one of the few benefits of COVID was the whole idea that you didn't have to go to work anymore.
Yep.
And, it's been, I have 40,000 miles on my car. I would have had that in like a year and a half back in the day.
Jealous.
I've had this thing, I don't know. Like, when was the last time I saw Dan the Man? It's been a while.
That's amazing.
He was out at the track about a few months ago. All right, quarterback carousel. We were talking about that. Defo on 5. You have to get Scoop to change the title with Mike Lubie. Lubitz needs to be.
I don't mind. I make sure I'm in the.
I don't like that. I just.
I appreciate you embracing me. It's okay. I don't mind. I like the idea of Defo on 5, and I have Lubie very much right in the top of the description. And he put any of his promotional materials, he's put me into it. So I appreciate that from him, and I appreciate from you. It's fine. Because he knows people, it's Defo, but quick. They're like, Defo, quickly. That's.
I'm struggling to get out of the first subject in 15 minutes.
And he's like, they should extend it. I'm like, they do. It's this. Watch
that was
this.
already long, yeah. No, I keep telling myself every day I'm going to work on this technique, and I haven't gotten to it yet. I'm speaking very quickly there too because I know I'm going to run out of time. and I had a bunch of stuff, man. I had like look at this. I really filled my little bar mitzvah notes here, and I didn't get to any of it. I really didn't even come close. But we were talking about the quarterback carousel, and it's interesting from a lot of different perspectives, of course. It's the NFL, and it's in the news, even when everything else is either ending or starting up, coming to some great crescendo. Furman, for God's sake. Furman, not Gary Furman, the guy that does that cane sport thing. The school is going to the big dance. Their hopes were dashed last year. I mean, you could not have, somebody just stab you in the back like Chattanooga did last year in the tournament with a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. Their conference tournament, what is it? The Southern Conference, I believe it is. SoCon.
Okay, that's Southern.
I thought it was like a comic, convention. SoCon. Put up a thing, the SoCon. I'm like, so what's that all about? Chattanooga versus Furman, my friend. Where's Furman? Where's Furman? Do we know?
I'm going to look it up right now.
If you're a Furman graduate.
I thought you were talking about Mark Furman.
Yeah.
Why is
Mark Furman. Yeah, there you go. The bloody glove. Greatest ever when I saw Chris Rock when he was a non-unknown commodity. He was the third guy down on the bill at the Riviera. This had to be 32 years ago. Can you imagine? He still looks as young as he did that day.
Good. Yeah. His new special on Netflix. I loved it. Yeah. He looks great.
Because Jesse was 8. He's 40 now, and Jesse liked comedy, and he wanted to go to a comedy club. This is in Las Vegas. We had gone to the West Coast. He wanted to see the Grand Canyon. I wanted to see the roulette wheel. And, it was a conflict there, too. Because, it was, one of those things where they really didn't like kids in Las Vegas at that time.
No.
Like, you couldn't even bring them into the casino restaurant.
They like him in Vegas, on the strip. They don't want it in the middle of a casino.
Jesse actually ended up on stage as an 8-year-old. There was a magician. We were staying in a cheesy hotel that my friend had hooked us up in the downtown area, which Fremont Street, which hadn't been built up. It was still just like scum. Wow. It was like you had taken the bus and landed in Reno when you went downtown. There were some favorable places there. They had some local restaurants that weren't at Vegas prices, which weren't that bad at that time. I mean, we're talking 32 years ago. I think it was still like a dirt road to get. There was no Mandalay Bay or any of that stuff out there. What's the stupid place that looks like a castle?
Oh,
I forget. And the Hacienda or something. I don't know. It's a real cheesy hotel and casino, and that was the only thing out there. It was at the end of a dirt road, which was the remaining portion of the Vegas Strip, which was very, very small at that time. So we're staying at I forget what it was. I mean, it wasn't the Golden Nugget, but it was some slime ball place like the Lucky Strike or something. And they had a magic show with this woman Melissa, the lovely Melissa, and she actually called Jesse on stage, and she also had as a special guest at the time this guy who became very famous in Las Vegas, Lance Burton. I don't know if you ever heard of Lance Burton.
Yes, Lance Burton. Are you kidding me?
And they're performing at this like nothing casino there that essentially was a Motel 6 that also had like a couple of slot machines. That was it. And that was the entertainment that night. So they called Jesse on stage, and he was part of a magical act.
That's classic.
The only other time that happened to him, he had bad luck with that, though, because he was very shy as a kid. But and this still is a classic. When we went there was a comedy club in Boca. I forget the name of it, but a guy that we knew was running the club there. So we used to go there, and they had some pretty good acts come in. So they have this guy up there, and he sees Jesse in the crowd, and he was wearing a pink, one of those shirts with the little alligator on them.
Oh, Lacoste.
Lacoste, yeah. Okay. That his girlfriend at the time had just given him as a gift for, whatever the occasion was. And the guy goes, wow, look at that, a pink shirt. What does that say? Up, and he's going off. Now, Jesse's like 19, and, he's mature enough to deal with the jokes. But the guy says, hey, give me that shirt. So he gives him the shirt, and the comedian rips it in half. And, Jesse's, I mean, he's stunned. He's depressed. He couldn't believe it. And I thought, well, what's the matter? It's just a shirt. We'll go get you another one. He goes, no. She gave it to me, and she said, I wasn't going to wear it, and that I didn't like it and all of this stuff. And now she's going to think that I tore it up. So I realized then that you couldn't possibly tell her the truth.
Oh, it sounds way more.
That you were at a comedy show and the comedian grabbed your shirt and ripped it in half on stage. Now she's really going to hate you. So you got to go murder on that thing, right? I was nowhere near the kennels. What are you talking about? And then they hear him in the back. Fido, come on, eat. And a gunshot's going off.
Oh my God.
If ever it was a bad... Now, this guy was a lawyer, too, and he took the stand on his own behalf. I guess he knew he was going down anyway, right? But certainly when he got up there, did you watch any of this? I mean, you've seen highlights of it on the news.
No.
Or lowlights, I guess it would be.
I haven't watched any of it.
And, wow, I mean, you talk about cooking your own goose there, man. If I had, been that unsteady in front of the feds that time, I'd be doing time. I'd probably still be in the can, right? 20 some odd years later. It's absolutely nuts. Got to be able to at least, give some semblance of the truth, huh? That would help. All right, so what's the truth about the Jets? Did they blow it? Mike Lubie Lubitz blew it by not getting Derek Carr.
Yes. I mean,
9 years in the league. His record is substantially under 500. He played for the Raiders. The Raiders, obviously, an organization that you would have to say words like chaos, turmoil, dysfunctional.
Yep.
Although Mark Davis seems like a really cool guy, does he not? Is he just I know the haircut is funny and all of that. I mean, the Buster Brown haircut. Usually a dead giveaway that the guy's a schmuck. It's like, well, what do you got? Some Mo Howard fetish? We're not talking about Howard David and the whole thing with a local broadcaster here, Neil Rogers, for many years, just drove this man insane. That's bad when you let somebody get that deeply under your skin, where like you actually, I mean, that was the second guy that wore a hairpiece that actually, like, I think fired it in Neil Rogers' face. I saw the first one. It was a guy named Steve Ziegler. He was an engineer. And Rogers used to rip him every day on the air, man. Every day. The same thing. Relentless attack. You know how he was, right? Did you ever listen to this guy?
My dad loved him, so I was too young to really get it.
I mean, for the most part, it was entertaining. He got a little vicious there for a while, like super vicious. And you thought, wow, this isn't really funny anymore,
Yeah.
But to the people, they dug it. No matter what he said, it didn't make any difference. They loved it. And it was weird because his whole show was based on the guys that worked at the radio station. It was like a radio version of WKRP. It was incredible. Although he was well versed in other things. Well, when I first started listening to him, the guy was doing politics on 790, which was a bandbox radio station, and it was in South Miami in a little house. And you know who ran the place as a general manager and actually was an innovator at the time? You'll find this hard to believe, Louis.
Stugatz?
The very infamous, no, Stugatz wasn't even alive.
Okay.
Steve Lappa of the Lappa Nation.
Your favorite.
Who later, became the biggest bungler in the business. I mean, although he's probably done well for himself.
Yeah, honestly.
Is talent always going to be, the people that are on the so-called talent side? Are they always going to look at these guys that are in management and wonder, what the fuck?
Yeah. Look, my buddy Mac on the FM side has had some managers that, like AT, Alex Tears, one we actually respected. And the guy before
he's done well for himself, though. He went on to some big job.
Sirius XM, he's doing big things with Sirius XM. Mac now is on Sirius XM, but he on the FM side is actually, they have a partnership and they work together. And on the AM side, across the board, whatever station you talk to people, it always seems to be like contentious, and they don't get you and you don't get them. I don't know.
Oh God! I mean, how ugly was that relationship we had there? I mean, it was always tense. Like you didn't know if this woman was going to explode and just say, you know what, you guys flat out suck.
I mean, she did.
But she had that face like that, well, what we were talking about today?
The Mayo
Your
face.
Mother? Yeah.
Yeah, she had the Mayo face. When Mayo eats, when you bring up something that we both think is good, and he's like, oh, that's not, like, who eats that?
Teach his own, man. I mean, those high-end places that he likes, though, are getting rave reviews. They really are. And
it's
Mayo will stray down into the gutter with the rest of us, which is a good thing, I think. But then he gets a little carried away. But that Skyline chili, my God. Why do you think there's only one left, Lubie?
I agree with you.
Because they're great? Because people can't wait to have this crap? No.
It's look, it is what it is, and
it's
people.
It's the Checkers of chili.
Yes, it's the Checkers of sit down, because it is sit down. You sit down and you have a waitress or a waiter serve you.
That would be tough to eat in the car. That'll be the first thing I attempt to eat in the car. Is a 5-way from Skyline Chili.
Oh, the actual pasta.
Driving while dining. Oh no, dining while driving. What are we going to call this thing? Dining while driving.
What's it? Sarni had some name that I didn't.
Yeah, no, that might have been it from Sarni. I think that might have been his entry, which was brilliant.
I mean, with wings and wheels. I'm like, no, but it's not going to just be wings. I don't want people.
Dining while driving, I think, is going to be the name of the show, and it's going to be our second entry into the food genre on South Florida Live. When do we crank that up? We should try one, and that's the perfect place to start. We'll roll over there. Where is that? Cooper City, Davie.
Oh, it's Sunrise.
And I'll order a 5-way, and I'll get it to go, and I'll eat it in the car.
See, I don't
on 595 navigating. You
was offered to be a part of that with you, and my idea.
He eats like that anyway, but it's better when he's stationary.
Well, my idea, like my hope was you by yourself, because I want the whole process. It's not just you talking and eating.
I do a port night. I go in there. I introduce myself.
Well, it's the process of while in the car having to grab it.
Yes. And drive
it, and then drive and eat. Not just someone hands it to you. That takes that away from it. That's my own.
Oh, absolutely. No, you have to. No, you have to do this yourself. Whether it's ribs, burritos. I was pretty good at eating burritos in the car.
Well, burritos aren't hard.
But if you're going to an appointment or something and you've got like a dress shirt on, which you'd find that odd But there was a time I actually had to dress to go to work and stuff. Not really, I mean, I was always in the sports genre, but, you would have to wear like a shirt and tie, certain TV, especially. I mean, you always had to have a shirt and tie. Although I don't know how people always preserved their garments while traveling. Because mine always ended up looking like a handkerchief, by the time I got on the air. Hey, Defo, you got an iron, by the way? Right? Okay, here we go live in 3, 2, 1. You're like now all self-conscious. I look like a prune. What am I going to do? I'm in Arizona, for God's sake, right? In the middle of the freaking desert. Trying to call a couple of fights, and all of the fights and then first-round knockouts. Now you've got to fill an hour and a half of television time with Barry McGuigan. That happened to me one time. Barry had the great accent, though. I don't know if you remember this guy. He was a good fighter, a really good fighter. Barry McGuigan, Irishman. And if you run into people like when I was in Italy, Louis, and this is me, of course. I mean, I must have really been stoned when I was there. Actually, I wasn't. Maybe that was the problem because we were afraid it was going to be Midnight Express if we brought some gummies there or anything like that. And then, of course, you get to customs. You go, okay, roll right through.
Yeah, exactly. You stress out. You eat all
Fuck.
semen.
I could have brought a kilo of Coke with me. They don't care. But I would meet somebody from Ireland and go, hey, you know what? You know Barry McGuigan? And that was it. It was like an instant bond. They love their boxers there, man, especially if you find a guy that's drinking a couple of pints there at one of those outdoor cafes. All right, so where did we get with the Jets? Nowhere, right?
I think it's.
What do they do? I mean, it's on the back page here. I finally got my post. Plan A. They have to go with Aaron Rodgers.
You can't
Does
get
that loom as a mistake? I don't know. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. I would think that Aaron Rodgers would obviously be based on what he did last year, good enough for the Jets to show wicked improvement in honor of our friends at Wicked Cheesesteaks. Wicked improvement in their overall play. Because that was a disaster last year. Think about this. They were going with Joe Flacco.
Yep.
Then they had this guy White who had a good ball game or maybe a good ball game and a half. And after that, I mean, it was torture watching this kid. Didn't he throw like 6 picks? He looked like Joe Willie that game against Denver when the wind was blowing at Shea. And every time I turn around, I was selling souvenirs. It was freezing fucking cold. And every time I turn around, because I always like to keep an eye on the game, there's another pick, man. It's like, Joe, what the hell?
Just run the ball.
6 picks. 6. Weeb Eubank, his hair was standing up like Don King. It really, I mean, like Weeb. You didn't even know that that thing could do anything. But I mean, just fall into the perfect crew cut. You talk about old school, man. Tony Segreto was right about that. He made Earl Morrall look like, he was Prince. Earl was pretty conservative, wasn't he? I mean, Earl Morrall, in his appearance anyway, right? With the high top blacks there. I mean, and the crew cut. Classic. I mean, was he not classic old school quarterback,
Yes.
Earl Morrall, number
Yes.
15?
Yes.
That was great. I came in and did a job, though. We had a couple of guys like that, right? We had 2 of the better backup quarterbacks in the history of backup quarterbacks with Don Strock and
Yep.
Earl Morrall.
Yep.
Why? I mean, is there a reason that were there better backup quarterbacks in terms of quality overall than there are now? You can't even field, and this is the common logic now with this whole Derek Carr thing, Lubie. If I was going to do like a Stephen A. Smith type of show, I'd be screaming at the top of my lungs.
I don't even think you
What
can-
is that? What is that? Does that make the argument more significant? As if there was an argument. I don't know. Is there really a right answer? Do we know that the Jets blew it by letting the Saints sign Derek Carr? I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it works out. What happens to your man, Jameis?
He's had to be a backup, which is interesting. I thought he was playing well until he got hurt.
He was fine. He had made a turnaround. He had an epiphany. The guy seemed like he was firmly planted on Earth. I mean, he was not the space cadet that you would encountered in the past. A guy that thought he could just roll out there and start chucking the rock.
And then this year, I thought he was playing pretty well, and then he got hurt again, and then they never brought him back because I guess they liked Dalton. I don't know. I guess he's gotten to a place where no one trusts him to be a starter. I mean, not taking him as a
Andy
back.
Dalton was as dry a commodity at quarterback as you could possibly find. Well, he doesn't make the big mistake. He is a big mistake at this point.
He doesn't do anything.
He's Carson Wentz on steroids, Andy Dalton. You're not going to do anything. I mean, they supposedly have a really good team. I don't know. They always have turmoil there, right? What was it? Michael Thomas, the receiver, he was out.
Yep.
And Kamara now is, under, I mean, he's going to a trial in Las Vegas over some schmanky incident that sounds very much Jean Morant-esque.
Well, the John Morant thing's crazy.
Well, Morant, though, I mean, did somebody loosen a screw there in that guy's head? What happened to him?
No idea.
Stardom? I mean, we never really take that into account. I know a lot of people find, the false humility of LeBron James to be, a little over the top, right? So they despise him for it. It's okay, but I mean, imagine being under, that kind of spotlight and not cracking. It looks like maybe that's happening to Jean Morant. And he's not under near playing in Memphis, the scrutiny, even playing in Cleveland, that LeBron James, was subjected to, and still is his entire career. He's on the bench there. What is that crazy boot he has on? It looks like he's, going to go with Jeff Bezos into space. No, did you see that thing? I mean, what's wrong with his foot?
I don't know. He's going through a whole thing. I don't know.
Watch out! Don't sleep on the Lakers, Lubie. That's my advice to you. I know. You see Anthony Davis. He's a monster. He's a one-man wrecking crew at this stage. The rest of the cast isn't as bad as we thought it was.
Well, now that he moves,
this Palenka, whatever his name is, Paluca, he actually made a couple of clever acquisitions. I don't know at what cost. I mean, did they give away anything of any special significance in making these acquisitions? I don't know.
No,
but no, they look a little better. I don't know. It's surprising to me. If James gets back in there, what do they have? 15 games left. So what's that going to take? 4 weeks to play? They were going to reevaluate James' situation. I didn't even know if they'll ever get that boot off of him, man. Remember that movie Face Off when they put the boots on the guys in prison so they couldn't, go anywhere? They were like magnetically sealed to the ground, kind of like you were hoping that soundproofing would be in the background there.
It didn't work.
Two words, Louis, Flex Seal.
Yeah, I don't want to glue anything to the wall though.
Did you see that latest demonstration? Literally, Phil Swift. He puts a drop of glue. He's welding together two pieces of metal, one of which is attached to some kind of pulley, and the other is going to take on a load of cement. And he puts one drop of glue on there. They're unattached completely. One drop of glue, and it sits for like a second. Not even like, the whole commercial is only 30 seconds long, right? So somehow they managed to do this, have it stick, and then it lifts like 3 tons of bricks. Not even the slightest hint that this thing is going to collapse on somebody's foot. Somebody from the crew is going to be buried underneath that thing if they got too close. That the dust from the crashing of this 3 tons of brick was going to be enough to, put half of the people in the hospital right away, and the rest later on in life, all of a sudden, curiously, even though they never smoked, develop lung cancer. Right? But no problem, right? One drop of glue. Just unbelievable. All right. So what do they do? I mean, did they sign Aaron Rodgers? What do you think? Well, what's going to ultimately happen there, Louis? This is in our division here with our Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Who now have their own quarterback. I believe they have problems. I really do. I'm not convinced that Tua is going to come out there and look as sharp as he did last year. I hope he does. That would be great. I'm not rooting against him. I like the guy. It'd be nice not to have to talk about this anymore, correct?
Well, I would like to have the quarterback position settled, and we thought for half a year we did when they went on that run, and then he went and after the concussions, he played a bunch of games in a row, and he looked good, and he had no health issues, and then it happened again. So it was like, yes, the Dolphins have major questions at the quarterback position. I don't think they're going to answer them this offseason. I think they're going to roll with Tua, but it's going to hang over their season unless he stays healthy. And then it'll put it to bed. The Jets, it's weird. Like, their defense was one of the best defenses in football. Their offense looked promising until Breece Hall got hurt. They're going to get him back. Garrett Wilson was legit. I think they made some interesting moves when it comes to their other receivers. The offensive line is actually sort of an issue, but, if Becton can never stay healthy, they have an anchor of the offensive line. It's the quarterback.
This guy gets hurt in the first practice every year.
It's always hurt. That's a problem for him.
Yeah.
But I
think he pulls a muscle getting out of bed. I really do. And wow, he looked like he could be a really dynamic player.
He's a monster. He's a fucking massive human being. He's always hurt.
Yeah. No, it's not good. Did he run a 40 at the combine? Mickey Becton?
I don't know.
That would have been fun to watch. It would be like watching Gorilla Monsoon run a 40-yard dash. Why don't they make wrestlers, do that? Pro wrestlers should have a combine. That would be great.
40.
See John Cena in the long jump. George the Animal Steel. I mean, but I guess they would have to go through a different set of, regimen of calisthenics, to have it have any meaning, right? Like flying off the top rope, that kind of thing.
Just doing different
flying head scissors. Yeah.
Climbing the cage.
Being able to withstand being hit in the head several times with a table, or a chair. That always got me, man. Where did they find those breakaway chairs? Those were great. Don't you wish you could have had some around the house?
Yes, 100%.
Like stages of people were at like a party. All of a sudden, you fake a fight. Yep. Breakaway chair goes over some guy's head. All right. And Geno Smith gets $105 million. He was making $4 million a year last year. We mentioned this on our Defo on 5 thing. with Mike Lubitz that I mean, the quarterback whisperer of all time has to be Pete Carroll. He turned Russell Wilson into probably a Hall of Famer. And we saw Russell Wilson without Pete Carroll.
Disaster.
Right? Crapper.
Yep.
Couldn't have looked any worse. Might have been, going out on a ledge there. I mean, but within the bottom 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league, you would have to say. Last year was Russell Wilson. Yeah.
He was atrocious. He was really bad.
It was hard to find somebody worse. I guess, Hack, his brother, Zach Wilson.
I was going to say Zach Wilson.
Yeah. But he didn't play the whole year, and when he did play, he was horrendous. But, I mean, yeah, that's not saying much. If Russell Wilson is barely – even that you had to mention that, and we had to, like, think it through for a second.
Wait, Wentz?
Tells you that Russell Wilson was horrendous. Yeah, Carson Wentz – I like that. Is that significant information when you find out that whoever had Carson Wentz, what was it, Washington, has parted ways with Carson Wentz?
Oh, yeah.
Shaving $11 million off their salary cap. You're like, what?
He was getting that.
They were paying $11 million to this clown?
He sucked.
Seems like a good guy. I don't want to label him as a clown, but as a player, he really deteriorated quickly.
He fell off a cliff.
Started out great, right? Nobody had ever heard of him. Who was the other guy? It was Jared Goff, right? And Carson Wentz. Didn't they go 1-2 in the draft?
Yes.
And now Goff made a comeback under, of all people, Dan Campbell. Now, can you imagine that Dan Campbell is very influential at the quarterback position there? I'm thinking whoever the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions is. Now, did that guy get any consideration for head coaching positions? Or is he black? I hate to laugh at that, man. I mean, only Martin Luther King. What are we doing here? But it's true. Because now, who had a more exciting offensive team than the Lions last year? Not many. And who made? I mean, from the grave, this guy came back. You're talking holy Lazarus here.
Ben Johnson. I hadn't even heard of him, and I definitely didn't hear him mentioned in interviews. Johnson.
Does it specify whether he's white or black? Does it have a picture of him? Ben Johnson.
No, he's a white guy.
Yeah, okay.
Johnson could be a black guy.
No, how did he not become a head coach?
Exactly.
Jared Goff was garbage the year before. Complete trash. If you thought Dan Campbell was going to fall flat on his face as a head coach, in addition to being probably the guy with the wildest antics in the league, what happened now?
He was supposedly, he had 1 year as offensive coordinator, and he supposedly, I didn't realize, I didn't get that in the weeds when it came to the coaching carousel this year, because I assumed it was just going to be a bunch of retreads. Yeah. He was a head coaching candidate, unlike Bieniemy, who was not.
Right.
And after 1 year, he decided to return and see if he gets offered a better job next year.
Who offered him a job? Phoenix?
I maybe
or Arizona,
offered the job, but like he was in the interviews, and I think he took himself out of it to return to Detroit and see if he can have one more year with them, and then go get a really good head coaching offer.
You would have to think, right? I mean, watching that team playing and when the way they dug it out in that last game of the season, when they knocked Green Bay out of the playoffs and put Aaron Rodgers into, just a bizarre place mentally. If he wasn't there already, he went even deeper into it.
Yep.
But this business about going to some dark retreat. Has anybody ever done that? Well, now, what exactly do? You put yourself into some box and turn out the lights and just sit there for 3 days? What the hell is that?
No clue. It seems
mushrooms. I mean, imagine psychedelics were involved. I mean, that seemed to be where Rodgers was headed. Is it kind of cool that your quarterback has probably done more drugs than Timothy Leary?
No.
That's powerful stuff too. When it's like, this all natural stuff. There was a guy, he wrote several books about this. Carlos Castaneda. Do you remember this guy?
I know the name. Yeah.
It was a very popular, line of reading when I was in college. Okay, so it's got to go back. I mean, like 50 years. Carlos Castaneda might have come later than that, but. And all of his books were about his experience with mezcal and the mezcal plant and all of this peyote buttons that he was doing. I mean, it was like Jim Morrison was writing a book about, his experiences with drugs. And this sounds very much Aaron Rodgers-esque. Is that going to work as a solution to you would have to think that, Rodgers, if he does go to New York, is not going to play any form of clown ball, no? I mean, he's got to love it. And who's the kid that was the rookie, the wide receiver?
Garrett Wilson.
Wilson, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that guy's good.
Yeah, he's great.
There goes your Dolphin season, people. Up in smoke.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't
We're going
trust
to have
him.
a struggling quarterback. We got this new Vic Fangio-led defense there. You think that's going to show any improvement? Or does
Yeah,
it prove that Fangio was a fraud his entire career?
I think that actually
Because the Dolphins can do that to you. They can make, even the best of them. I mean, even Shula at the end, people were starting to say, he was still razor sharp. The old man's losing it, right? Because he's coaching the Dolphins.
Yep.
Who haven't won the title since 1973, my friends. Yes, let's go all the way back. Rick Weaver and Hank Goldberg here. That was an O-cut, Rick. Used to love those broadcasts. All right, we're going to come back with more. We'll get off this football thing. The Heat were involved and engaged in, very important, and home and home tilt with the same team. Do you know when that came about? Were they doing that last year? Where, you play a team on the same court, and not even on consecutive nights. I mean, imagine how many people did anybody spot on the Atlanta Hawks out there, 4 or 5 in the morning at local clubs?
I was going to say, it's actually impressive that they were in South Florida that long and played better.
Yes.
And then the other game.
How is it possible?
I don't know. I mean,
For an NBA team to be in town, now is it Quinn Snyder? Is he, started to rule with a new level of discipline? I catch any of you motherfuckers. I don't think you can say that to NBA players without Adam Silver, getting an erection there. No, I mean, that surprised me. You would have thought that they would have been beaten by 50 points last night. And if you took the Hawks, you had some serious guts.
They covered.
Serious guts.
They covered to the hook.
Speaking of which, I don't know how this game was ultimately decided, but I had a mild interest, not any monetary interest, but just a mild interest from a standpoint of going back to our Bury America campaign that Brent Musburger was running, because this guy, C. Jackson Coward, had told you to bet San Francisco getting 11 and a hook last night against Gonzaga. The Dons.
In college basketball,
right?
San Francisco.
And the final score, Gonzaga wins by 11.
Oh, my God, really?
So he was right, yeah.
Wow, he's actually that good for him. Jeez, that's
I figured immediately, I saw that this morning because I hadn't got my, newer edition, today's edition of the Post there, which is yesterday's news anyway. But I saw that and I thought, well, I'm going to check this game out, see if this guy was on the money with what he said. And he was. But by a hook. I mean, what do you think that was? A backdoor cover?
Maybe.
Some guy chucks one from midcourt. I have to go back and see like some kind of blow-by-blow on that game because how do you think they ended up, 11? You had to be dying. I mentioned this earlier this morning. I mean, this is why guys end up in the fetal position. Crawled up in a corner there and just waiting for the end to come. Never mind, what we were talking about. The peaceful, medicated, well, I love you all, departure from this planet. Which, is my number blinking on the board, man? More guys are checking out that baseball announcer for the Tampa Bay Rays. Seemed to be very well liked. I think his last name was Willis.
Tampa fans were like depressed. I'd never heard of the guy.
Yeah, I hadn't either. I guess he'd call White Sox games for a while. He was, I think, like 58 years old, man. That's nothing. That's a short trip. Get out there. Move your body, everybody. Shake your body. All of a sudden, I'm Gloria Estefan here. Oh, you want to shake your body, man, and you want to shake it to some, hot Latin tunes. There's nothing like it, right? Lubie, you inspire me when you get out there on the dance floor. And you can go with it, right? Was that the first wife of yours part Latin? Or is she from, where was she from? Nigeria? Where the hell was this woman from?
Simone was Jamaican and from Barbados, but I started dancing back in high school. I had nothing to do with my wives. I just love dancing. My buddies were all from the island, so we would go to the club. I would start going to clubs at like 16.
I'm wandering around, after I was going to leave the fights. I just wanted to check out what was going on the rest of the place at Hialeah Park. And they had a DJ out there on this outdoor patio that they had put in there several years ago. They really spit the thing up. They got an outdoor bar, man, and the people are just absolutely going out of their minds, having a great time. It was fantastic. So here we are at the fights. That was great. Another part of the facility, and it's just so beautiful. And, what I always loved about Hialeah Park was you're thinking that it's like just going to be this vast, place like Santa Anita is, and it's not. It's kind of, contained.
Yes.
And all of this beauty just hits you right in the face, and you can't you can't do anything but admire the fact that they've been able to keep it like that for so long. And then on top of that, add in this whole new vibe with the casino and everything. It's just absolutely great. Jackpots being taken down. I saw Steve Calabro. That guy has the best smile of anybody I've ever seen. Steve Calabro. Do you know Steve at all? Did you ever meet him? I think you had.
I'm sure 3
And
times.
oh my God, well, it just always makes you feel good. And you know why? Because he's giving money away in a casino. It's fantastic. People are winning, man. And he was telling me, like, we did a little analysis about, like, who's paying one off. Because, I go to several places, frequent other places that the machines are dead as a doornail, right? I mean, you never hear anything. You don't even hear like a phony quarter plunking into the metal dish. Nothing. Right? Oh, look at that. 3 plums. It's not the same. Hialeah Park is paying, in conjunction with what you would see in Las Vegas and other places. Absolutely brilliant on their part because they want people to win, churn that money, and have a good time. It's fantastic. So the casino's great. It's always hopping. The poker room, I want to get Mayo in there. I don't think he's ever played there. And he's a very, very serious poker player, this Mike Mayo. And, I think he would enjoy the class that's exhibited there and the professionalism in the poker room at Hialeah Park. And you know me, Lubie, my car, as if driven by magnetic force field, goes right by the first entrance and down to the clubhouse entrance. And then whoosh, zooms into that parking lot now. I mean, just absolutely flying. I feel like, Cale Yarborough, man, back in the day, man, driving that. Well, it looks like he's got the Chevy really revved up today. How did he get in and out of the car without opening the door? Cale Yarborough. You ever see this guy? He's like 400 pounds. You can't open a door in those NASCAR cars.
You go through the window. But
that always bothered me when I had to do a couple of things with like NASCAR. Down at the Homestead Motor Speedway and one other time at the Atlanta Motor Speedway where you got to climb in and out of the car. Always worried about pulling a hamstring, right? In front of the hot TV reporter who also was covering the story that you had been, trying to make the acquaintance of the entire time. And then you get out of the car so ungracefully. And on top of that, you pull a hamstring. It's like pulling a hamstring while you're having sex. No, it really is. And you can't, you can't show the pain. Right? You just have to pretend that everything's fine.
Yep.
You get that hamstring cramp, when you're having sex. All of a sudden, she's like, oh, what are you thinking of, a Joe Cocker song? Yeah, exactly. What'd you do? You're spasming all over the place. No, everything's fine. Hialeah Park. I zoom in there like I was driving a NASCAR. That's where I was going with that. And right to the champion simulcasting room, which is brilliant, as always.
Yeah,
brilliant.
beautiful.
You're going to love it. I do. I love punching away in there. I love all the people down there. They've just been great with me. And I've been going there. I was thinking, I've been coming to Hialeah Park for 42 years. And it was one of the great experiences. I mean, a real eye-opener when I first came to South Florida and I finally got a chance to go to Hialeah. Wow. What a great racetrack. I mean, and I had been to many. I'd been to Belmont and, of course, Santa Anita out there. Hollywood Park was kind of a dump in a bad area, but, it was near the Forum. So you could go to the races all day and then catch like a crappy Laker game at night. Imagine that, watching Cornell Warner shoot bricks out of the corner. What they have? They had Junior Bridgman, back then. Well, no, he was part of the trade. What year was the Kareem trade? With the Lakers. I think that preceded my arrival out there. No, it couldn't have because they had a really crappy team, for a long, long time, the Lakers. They were like not even a big consideration before they finally got it together there. And then, of course, Riley with the Showtime Lakers.
1975. Geez, 1975.
Oh, okay. So I was probably just getting out there around that time. So right before that, 74, that might have been the first year I was out in California. That was the team they had. Cornell Warner, they had Dave Myers, who got traded for the Kareem. Junior Bridgman, who became a brilliant businessman. I mean, one of the most successful post-career athletes, I think. Junior Bridgman, is that not a true story? He owns like car dealerships or something. I mean, he really, made a fortune for himself outside of his career. And Brian Winters, the three-point specialist. Which there was no three-point shot, right? Or yeah, there was a three-point shot back then. When did that come into existence?
I think a little after that.
Brian Winters was a decent ball player. I mean, the three of them combined. Dave Myers was a big disappointment. His sister Ann turned out to be a better pro player than him. Big shot out of UCLA. Remember Dave Myers?
79. So the three-point shot didn't exist.
Wow. Okay. So that didn't help Brian Winters any.
Not at all.
He could pop from the top of the key, though. He was a pretty good ball player. Anyway, that's all in the past there. All of
Yes.
that because the past is perfectly mixed. But
Yes.
with Hialeah, I mean, I used to love going into Hialeah Park when I first moved here. I still love it. I mean, it's the same feeling. You get that same glorious feeling walking in. You'll love it too. Beautiful Hialeah Park.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
we're coming back with more later on. Sean Devaney going to join us. We'll get into some more basketball. We haven't really touched on that and what's happening there because it's getting very interesting, is it not, Mike Lubitz?
Yeah, Knicks fans.
Knicks, the number one team. I mean, best team in the league right now. The Knicks. I mean, right now, maybe. With,
9 in a row, I guess. I mean,
well, they're going to make it 10 tonight, I would have to think. Although, is this the game where, this is another thing that sends bettors straight for the Dilaudid drip? Right? You go to the emergency care room.
The Hornets, yeah, they'll beat the Hornets.
And it's right after this game is completed where the Hornets somehow cover not only a 9.5-point spread, but beat the Knicks on the money line, ending their 9-game winning streak where they've been phenomenal on the road. I believe they won like 10 in a row on the road or something like that. I don't know. They have the best record among the best records in the league on the road this year, the New York Knickerbockers. Is this a lot of false hope? What do you think, Louie? Do you see them being that good? I mean, are they good enough to beat these real power teams that are ahead of them, even in the East?
No, I mean, I think they can if they hold on.
Could they beat Philadelphia in a series?
Cavs, I don't think they beat the Celtics, the Bucks, or the Sixers. But if they can beat the Cavs, that would be they haven't won a series. They won a series since '99. I don't think
Their last series win was Willis Reed. That Willis Reed game.
They went to the NBA Finals in the late '90s, but I don't know if they won a series since then.
Well, we do remember a couple of those classics. How many times did they play the Heat to establish, what was at one time a very bitter rivalry, but no longer seems to generate the same steam? Aside from the fact that South Florida is, inundated with a huge percentage of former New Yorkers and Knicks fans. What do you think?
They were playing every year in the '90s. It felt like, and then when Carmelo joined them, they played, I think, back-to-back years.
And it was bitter, man. It was great. It was in the heyday of sports talk radio.
I hated it.
And it was just so easy to come in and, have people go back and forth and talk about how they despise each other because, you know what, you stinking Knicks fan, why don't you cram it up your ass and go back to New York? And I'm thinking, well, I don't know. I like the Knicks at one time. How do I mediate this? Right, the Heat fans, and that's one good thing about the Heat. The Heat seem to be the one team in town. I know the Panther fans are passionate about the Panthers, but it's not as widespread as the city's vibe that there is about the Miami Heat. Is that a fair statement, Lubie, or does that make any sense at all?
No, that's right.
People really embrace the Heat here in town because they always try. I think that's the thing.
Yes, and they've won.
Yeah.
Over the
they've had success. They've had stars. It's been what? 1988 is how many years? 12 plus 23. 35 years.
Well, I mean,
basketball.
Yeah, since Riley. Since the mid-'90s, they've been consistent pretty much every year. Even the years
they were well liked when they were bad, though. I really enjoyed the Heat when they were terrible. Like I was saying the other day, I became somebody that loved rooting for terrible teams. And I loved that Heat team. Grant Long was a part of that. I mean, why do you think we have such an affection for Grant Long? He suffered through 17 straight losses with Ronnie Cycli in the post there, and they literally would have to call for another basketball. It would disappear. Cycli would eat the ball. Just take a bite out of it. Like our buddy Mike Mayo eating the sandwich, man. He would just shovel the whole ball in his face, and you were like, wow, where'd the ball go? You didn't know if you were watching the Heat or the Globetrotters, right? I mean, who is this guy? Meadowlark freaking Lemon in there in the post? I was a Cycli fan, of course, because I still had much more of an affection for the Syracuse team. The senility of Jimmy Boeheim has kind of distanced me even further from my one-time Syracuse fandom. Although, would I like to see him rise up again and be a big power? Maybe, but is it going to happen under Jimmy B? The answer to that is probably no. And with name, image, and likeness, I don't know. Outside of the people that run the Carrier Air Conditioning Company, who else has big money up there? All of the professors? I don't know.
Oh, in Syracuse? College basketball hasn't really been a big thing, name, image, and likeness. It's mostly in college football.
College football, you would say it was bigger?
Or name,
No.
image, and likeness. Yes, and name, image, and likeness hasn't really taken hold in
Oh,
college.
in basketball, you don't think so?
It hasn't become a big thing yet. It's just that's why I thought the Boeheim stuff was stupid because it's not true. He's definitely not.
Well, he's going to be 80 years old. This guy, not to condemn people based on their age.
Exactly.
But I mean, are there signs of senility there with Boeheim? You would have to think yes. Jim Larrañaga is still razor sharp. He's only like what, 73 maybe?
Yeah, he's 1 year older than you.
Wow. I couldn't believe he knew Eddie Malloy. All right, we're coming back with more. Sean Devaney going to join us. And then I've got something great for you guys. This guy really bailed me out here. I should show you this letter from the bank that I just got, even though my loan has already been completed by Michael Kotze of Choice Mortgage. And he's been doing this for a long, long time. You talk about a troubleshooter, Lubie? Wow, did he knife through this? So here, I mean, I applied for this loan with a bank that I've been, on very good terms with forever. The people there are wonderful, but they don't run the loan department, the people that I know. They can only refer you. So here's what they wanted. I applied for this loan in September. Okay, so what is it now? March? That's 6 months ago. We'd like to complete, working on this thing. Here's what we need. We need a hazard insurance quote, a corrected letter of explanation about credit inquiries signed and dated, pay stubs covering the most recent 30-day period for your second job with year-to-date income listed. Where am I supposed to find that, man? There is no second job.
I'm happy that Shirley has a standard income, and then all my stuff just fits in after that. I wouldn't.
Your 2020 1040 federal tax returns, all pages, all schedules.
2020.
Documentation showing 2021 taxes were paid in full, or a copy of filed payment plans with IRS. Most recent 2 months bank statements, all pages, all accounts. Huh? I already got the money. You stupid fools. Unbelievable. It's unfortunate because they were very friendly there and everything. I won't say that. But every day another document, right? 6 months later, they still want all of this shit. That's unbelievable. Supposedly had it under control. Mike Kotze, man. He's got a message for you coming up later on. He's going to join us here. And he's a big sports fan. Do you realize this guy might, I think he has either 2 or 3 sons that are like NHL caliber.
Nice.
Hard to be like a hockey dad, man. That's got to be really weird, no?
Down here. Like men.
One of his kids is playing like over in Europe. He's lighting it up over there. Unbelievable.
Nice.
Got kids, still, I think, in high school and college. Playing hockey all over the place. All right, so that's coming up later on. Now, we'll help you guys out that are in the jackpot there. Andy was ready to go to his pocket and just loan me the money, man. How great is that? Andy. How well off is this kid, man? Andy, what do you got stashed away there?
He does well, and he lives very simple. It's really funny.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of those guys, right? Where,
a cow. He's like I do.
If he handicapped any better, I mean, he'd really be well off. We got to put him in touch with Sheldon G. Honestly. All right, we're coming back with more here on the Defo Show. That's Mike Lubie. Lubitz. Later on today, we resume our noon sessions with Mike Mayo. And that is Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. And it figures to really be spectacular this week. I mean, with all these spring breakers in town, too. I don't know if they're tuning into the Lunchbox, but
they should.
Wow. Restaurants, everything is jamming, man. You know me. I mean, I'm always rolling by Lauderdale by the sea there, and I take my walk of life up to Atlantic Boulevard, which used to be, tumbleweed was blowing down the street there in 9 o'clock at night. I always had the Briny Pub there, and that was kind of a popular place. But the other places were boarded up. Maybe you could buy like a bathing suit that was popular in the 60s. They always have like a surf shop. Does anybody frequent those places, Lubie, and buy anything besides like maybe an occasional boogie board that breaks right away? First time you use it, the styrofoam ones?
Tourists.
Ever try? Yeah.
I think tourists do. I don't know if locals are going in.
Some little blow-up raft you go in there for. Do you have any of these? Right? And you got a little picture of with the stuff and the easy availability to buy anything online, right? You would think you would just have this shit sent to your hotel room, no? I don't know. A lot of people bitching, though, that their room looks nothing like the brochure. I can assure you. All these little rinky-dink hotels that are on A1A. I'm sure they're fine establishments. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Anyway, Mayo, 12 o'clock today, and he's been eating all over the place.
Yeah, he's been a very busy man with the poker and the eating.
I mean, yeah. I mean, just sending it in. It's great. So we'll get some of those dining experiences. 12 o'clock today. It's 8:02. The Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
Hitting 667, Lubie, 667. That's my batting average right now. And snoring for... All right, because remember I was fetching about the fact that I sent out 3 requests for freebie tickets to various things. The fights in Hialeah and Frank Fiore. I figured that was a go. And it was. Okay, so that was good. And we had a great time. It couldn't have been better. A spectacular night. You know what? When you can envision like where you were at a certain time and you're thinking, man, I felt great when I was there and ran into a lot of good people and it was just a good vibe all the way around. Yep. I won't remember that night for a long period of time. Probably, I mean, since I don't have that much time left, right to my grave. I'll always remember standing there at Hialeah Park thinking, man, I love this place. I absolutely do. Thank you, Frankie, for the tickets to a great night of boxing. I put out a call. I was trying to get tickets for my son, Jesse, to see the Florida Panthers. And
you don't have a lot of connects anymore.
I went through Steve Goldstein. He said, hey, you're shit out of luck.
Get back to you at least, because I haven't heard back from him in like a couple years now. So I
have a current number for Goldie, but I think it was the same one. I guess he just figured you were gonna bother him about coming on a show talking about the Panthers, and what's he gonna say? Well, looks promising. Okay. This is maybe one of the biggest embarrassments in hockey history. You're about to be thrown into a category that is so narrow that only 5 teams, going back to when did the NHL come into existence? Man, that was all the way back in 1919, Defo. That's right,
yeah,
6 teams.
Early 1900s, yep.
Early 1900s, National Hockey League gets underway. And, I mean, it was brilliant when they only had 6 teams. Everybody always talks about this as a sporting topic, the dilution of talent and how that's been impacted all across the board in sports when you've had such expansion. 17.
17, yeah.
It's a pretty good guess on my part, no?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I wasn't around then, no. I was not around, Mayo. What does Mayo have? I mean, he takes care of his mother. You would think he would have an appreciation for the elderly.
Yeah.
Which I haven't quite thrown myself in that category yet, but I have to realize I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm among the elderly.
You're not there yet.
I'm one step away from, cutting my tennis balls in half, and instead of going out and hitting some serves, putting them on the bottom of a walker.
God.
Well, it's a good thing we have all these balls. Mustang plays too, so we always have tennis balls. That's one
There you
thing
go.
we're
You're ready.
plentiful supply of, right?
You're ready to go.
Probably have more than Djokovic, who, by the way, is out now. I mean,
Yeah.
is this still a thing? I thought they had lifted this
I think look,
requirement of having a vaccine or a recent COVID test to come to the country. I'm not. How do you feel about that, by the way?
yeah, I think
What do
it's
you think
done.
about that, Ron?
Look, I think by this time everyone should have it. The side effects. Yes, we've seen.
But he's not getting it. I mean, and he had COVID, so does
Yeah,
that
exactly.
constitute, having the same built-up immunities as you would if you got the shots? I don't know.
But
Does
even
anybody
then,
know that
like,
answer?
we've proven that the vaccine doesn't stop you from spreading it. So who gives a shit? Like,
Yeah.
it's only about you. So it stops you
Yes.
from getting as ill. It's
Right.
your choice to get really ill or not. Like, I don't understand that. They're not even testing you. Like, how would they know? They don't ask you for your card. I guess the tournament, is that what it is? Because you don't have to travel with your vaccine card anymore. So I don't
Yeah.
understand why that's even an issue. I'm really confused by it. Like,
I thought that had been
want
lifted. I actually thought
Yeah.
that restriction was done. But I think it may be sometime in May. So I don't know where that leaves Djokovic. I mean, Djokovic, he wins the Australian Open while he had like a hamstring that would have kept most players out for like 6 weeks. So how he was able to hobble around on that, I mean, and he controlled the action. I mean, the guy's brilliant. There's no question. And, he's had kind of a star-crossed path there in these Grand Slam events, majors of tennis, where, he could have easily won that U.S. Open where that was the time he hit the referee with the ball, remember? Got disqualified
Yeah.
in a match. And this wasn't Serena where she literally was like rolling a hand grenade underneath the chair umpire's chair because she was upset about a call. I challenge that. Shut up, Serena. Why am I down on Serena Williams, one of the great athletes of all
Never
time?
liked Serena because she's
False humility, Lubie. False humility. Anyway, so the Joker's out of this Indian Wells tournament, which is a major, tournament in most people's opinion. I mean, it's not one of the slams, but it's right there on the fringe of being one. Big field. They usually the top players are represented, very, very well with a high percentage of players in the top 50 going in, and and that's a prelude to the Miami Open, which gets underway, I think, kind of late this year. Right? What is it? March 19th? Is that the usual time? The Miami Open, which is a great tennis tournament, and I am planning to schlep down there.
If you can get a hookup, I'd love to go. It's way close. We used to go when it was in freaking Key Biscayne, which is like an hour drive. Like the Hard Rock is right there. I would love to go.
It was almost worth it. It was kind of like, we talk about Hialeah Park. Sometimes it's worth a little extra schlep to escape into, a unique Florida environment.
I mean, the setup was
the Key Biscayne tournament was. I mean, you don't get that same vibe at Hard Rock Stadium. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, but it's just not the same.
Well, the Key Biscayne was set up like a mini Wimbledon. Like you literally had different courts and side courts.
The side courts were easier to access, I believe. The stadium court was a lot more comfortable and spectacular. Nothing wrong with what they did. Let's face it. I mean, a lot of people like to knock Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, in the stadium. But saving and preserving this event here, I think, was important, certainly, to the sporting landscape of South Florida. Because, look, Lubie, do you not have a lot of tennis players here in South Florida that love? I mean, it's so fascinating to go and watch that the pros actually play. And it is different. It's very much like hockey. A big difference in watching it on TV and seeing it live, where you can see the spin on the ball and all of the effort that really goes into it. You don't necessarily capture that as well, even though, it's a fairly easy event to televise, and, they do a great job on the coverage. I watch a lot of Tennis Channel. I'm watching tennis all the time. But seeing that action live, when we saw that Joe Willie Saga hitting the ball in practice.
Oh, yeah. It's nothing like it. It's great.
Tremendous perspective that you got on that. So, the Joker out. I don't know if he's going to play the Miami Open now. I'm not sure. I would imagine he was planning that as part of his schedule here as he tries to come back. And he is now the number one player in the world again after winning the Australian Open. And Nadal is out of the Miami Open as well. Although Rafa probably, is it's getting near the end. I hate to say that. Yeah, we do have Carlos Alcaraz. I'm not sure what his status is for this thing, but He won it last year, didn't he? Win the Miami Open. Carlos Alcaraz, was that one of his breakthrough events as a winner on the tour? Why do I want to say yes to that, Louis? Carlos Alcaraz, the very exciting young player from Spain, who and he won what? Did he win the U.S. Open this year? Carlos Alcaraz?
Oh, I don't think so.
With Joker, Joker wasn't involved, I don't believe, this year because of the COVID thing once again and the vaccine. Yeah, but I'm surprised that would be, and I saw a discussion on this on CNN last night with Patrick McEnroe, and they were talking about this.
Wow, good for you. Alcaraz did win the U.S. Open.
Did he win the Miami Open also last year? Miami Open? By any chance, Carlos Alcaraz? This cat's exciting. I mean, look, if you can catch one of the early round matches and Alcaraz is on the schedule, usually the top seeds are in blowouts in their favor in the early rounds. I mean, it's kind of designed that way. That's the reason that you have the seeding, much like the NCAA tournament or any other.
You're on it. He won the Miami Open as well.
I'm telling you, Lubie, it's worth the price of admission to go and see this kid play.
I love to go. What I meant by Key Biscayne was worth the drive, just like Hialeah is worth the drive.
Yeah.
But Hard Rock is closer, and I haven't seen it yet. So if somehow you can get hookups and I can grab a ticket, I would.
Well, here's how I'm going. I'm going on one of these crazy junkets. Not an Out to Conquer junket, but a lot of the tennis centers have like outings going down there, and the Pompano Tennis Center, where the Mustang and I are members. That's membership counts for something.
Look at you.
No, but I mean, it's one of the great deals in sports. I think it costs you like $350 for a family membership, and you can use the courts anytime with no fees. So, I mean, if you're out there, do the math on that. If you're out there like 3 times a week, and normally it costs you $10 to get out there, you're doing all right for yourself. You make your money back in 10 times over, 5 times anyway. Nice. But they have a bus, trip down there, where for like $90 you get the bus transportation, so you don't have to drive. And then, you get let out right at the gate there. And then I guess you're on your own. You also get a ticket, I would imagine. No, you don't need a ticket because I don't think there's any assigned seating, especially in the early round matches. You just roll into the stadium and sit down wherever you can. So, maybe they have certain seats that you have to pay for. But it's a well-run event. I mean, it really is. It's great. So I don't know if you're inclined to do anything like that. You could probably still sign up for that.
Maybe.
I'll just say you're my son.
Keep me posted.
We have pull there. We could probably get you on that.
Sarni's actually not wrong. We could probably get credentials. I always forget about credentials because I haven't gotten
but we could pull some freebie tickets. Maybe I'll go more than one day, because the junket's one thing, right? And I would imagine it's, more of the women tennis players that probably go on that kind of thing. No? What do you think? They're the ones that are getting drunk on tequila all the way down there. That's the funny thing about those deals where you go to a football game and you're completely blasted when you get off the bus.
Yeah, Sue Freeman used to always do that with Landlubbers.
Yeah.
The NFL road trips from like Plantation to the Hard Rock, and like everything would be included. I'm like, you understand it's cheaper the way you're doing it. It's like you'd get food and beer and the drive down there, and now you don't pay for parking and the ticket. And it'll be like $100. I'm like, I don't think the ticket's $100. I'm like, how do they do that?
Most outrageous parking, is $35 at a Panther game, huh? I guess maybe the Dolphins are charging $40 or $50.
I'm sure the Dolphins are charging
to park a car.
I haven't been outside.
I would imagine parking for a tennis tournament. It's kind of a ritzy crowd usually. I mean, it's more of an upscale crowd. And they're the ones that are spending the $30 for a mimosa over there at the stands there. But it comes with a little orange right in there.
There you go.
Like a peel, just a peel, right on the side of the glass there. There's an element of elegance to a tennis tournament. It's kind of like, the golf tournaments, but maybe even a little bit more upscale from that, I would think. It's not necessarily your beer and a hot dog crowd, although it could be as well, because that's the kind of guy I am. Well, what do I want? I want a pretzel and a beer, and, let me sit down. If they had a Knish there, I would be more than happy to sample that, especially if it was from Grandpa's. Anyway, so... yeah, I'm going to end up there. I could probably get you some tickets, Lubie. I think I can, because I think our man Sam Henderson is still involved.
Just give me, let me know. It's not a big deal. I would definitely go if we came up on tickets. I can ask
he always says the same thing to me. Nice to hear from you, Defo, annually.
You're supposed to keep tabs with people. That's something I learned. I don't know who I learned it from, the Greek maybe. You just keep in touch.
I just assume I'm always good. That's probably a bad assumption now because it's not as if I'm as prominent in the limelight there as I once was. Not that I was ever any big deal, but I mean, it was, we haven't quite seen the numerology that we might have generated when we were in the heyday of
that's for sure.
Sports talk radio back in the 90s there. Right? I mean, it's hard to, everybody in town was tuned into this stuff.
Yep.
Because and they also had you built around, a great station with other talent that was of a high caliber. And, and then, of course, Neil Rogers managed to gravitate to all of these sports stations. And that wasn't a bad guy to have on there since the entire city was quoting him and, mouthing the words to his bits.
Yep. Honestly.
That's how it was. It was really crazy. And then Hank, of course, Hank was going crazy all the time.
Jack off.
He was great, man. It didn't take much to make Hank snap on the air. It was always a lot of fun.
What?
You would go crazy. All right, so and Al Poliak, I want to thank him. That's where I was going with all of this for the tickets, and this will be good for Joe Casal. Joe C wants to go and see the show on Saturday night. A guy named Greg Koch. And outstanding guitarist out of California. All guitarists, when the other guitarists think, you mention a guy's name, they go, oh, yeah, you got to go see that guy. And they're all going, then you know the guy's good. So thank you, Al Poliak, Funky Biscuit. So I went 2 for 3. Shut out on the Panther tickets. I tried Goldie and Craig Minervini.
Well, Molar Man's the one that can usually come through if you really annoy the crap out of him.
I don't know what I did. Since I had my phone stolen months ago, I don't have his number.
I can give you Molar Man.
I didn't want to snore too much, right? I mean, the guy says he can't do it. He can't do it. It's okay. You have to accept that sometimes. In the snoring business, no? Like you can't then turn your back on the guy like you were in Goodfellas.
You have to be. It's not
what?
You get upset at them that they can give you.
I mean, the guy's been giving me free tickets forever to this thing. And that's why I'm a bit. I mean, look, I feel in the snoring business, it doesn't hurt if you're a snorer than to not be a cheapskate on top of that.
Yeah.
So I'm springing for, a fairly good amount of money when I'm going into these places under the auspices of, hey, I got in here for nothing. So, another bottle of wine, no problem. Just bring it. Keep them coming all night. All right. Now we're coming back with more Sean Tammany on baskets in a couple of minutes, and then I'll tell you how you can get your hands on some money here with my man Michael Conci, and we'll also have you with us, we hope, for Mike Mayo's Lunchbox at 12 o'clock today. Back with more in a moment here on the Defo Show. Now that. It's 8:20.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
Don't gamble in anger.
She hit the daily.
Very calm. Think it through. If you need a little help, don't gamble in anger.
I get a panic phone call, and he says, "Do you have any extra cash?" I go, "Yeah, I brought money with me to Atlantic City." He goes, "Well, I can't get any more out of the card because the Mustang went wild and emptied the daily allotment of cash."
Double nickels, man. She went for a nickel on her card and a nickel on mine.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz. Got the NBA, and very much leaving a lot to be decided here. A lot of juxtaposition at both the top and bottom, especially in the East, where the Heat are of concern to the local people here. We welcome to the show one of our favorite basketball analysts, now with Heavy.com, and this guy has been on the money every time we've had him on the show. Sean Devaney joins us here on the program. Sean, how are you?
Hey, Defo, how are you?
Good morning, sir.
I'm doing great. I mean, I think I'm safe in our prediction that the Heat are not going to win the championship this year, which, we don't know where they're going to wind up in the playoffs. I'm not sure if it's more beneficial. You would think, obviously, it's safer not to be in the play-in game, but squaring off with possibly Philadelphia by finishing sixth in the Eastern Conference doesn't necessarily look like a very favorable position. I just wanted to get your thoughts off the top here, not necessarily about the Heat, but about the different transactions that took place, because it does seem like some are already showing, a very significant benefit to teams that made bold moves, and even some of the more subtle moves, like Josh Hart going to the Knicks, have turned out to be, largely beneficial for their run now, having won 9 in a row. Where do you see the greatest impact? I mean, is it the obvious destination of Durant going to the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's been they're a different team. They're a significantly different team, and their upside is significantly different than what it was a couple of weeks ago. Still you can see some holes with that group, but they just have so much firepower that it's hard to imagine those holes coming up until you get to the postseason. So, no question that team said that what Phoenix did. But you brought up Josh Hart. I think that he's been good for the Knicks in a lot of ways. Obviously on the floor and just reshaping that bench, which has always been, or at least the last couple of years, has been a real problem for them. Josh Hart has come in and he's really kind of organized that second unit and has really helped them get to that next level. And for a guy who really they just gave up Cam Reddish and in a first round pick, I know Miami was interested in him. They obviously didn't want to take on too much additional salary. They didn't have the way to make the salaries match up. But I know Miami, among other teams, were interested in him. And I was just shocked when I saw what the Knicks gave up to get him, because such a good, versatile veteran presence, and they've been pretty much unstoppable since he came aboard. So that was a much subtler move, but one that's obviously had I think they've won 9 out of 10 since he's been there. One that's had a pretty big impact.
I mean, is this just jumping on the bandwagon? Because you're hot, but I saw somebody. I was on CBS Sportsline this morning, and this guy named Henninger, or something like that, had the Knicks as the number 1 team in his power rankings. Is that not a bit excessive when you look at the league overall? Are they really the top team to contend with in the NBA? Period. At this stage, I think
that might be excessive. I'll go ahead and label that excessive. I think when you look at what the Bucks have done over the last couple of months, they've been just fantastic. I mean, they've really got, as they've gotten healthy, and they're not even completely healthy yet. But they've won 17 out of 18 games. I might have them number 1. I might have them tops on my list.
They look like a tougher out for sure.
Yeah, I would say so. And then Denver has been pretty consistently good. So I think that might be an overreaction.
That being said, though, and as I probably mentioned to you many times, I'm an avid reader of the New York Post. I get it every morning delivered to the house because, I mean, there are a lot of reasons for it, including that certain bodily functions I can't perform without having the Post in my hand. And that's no commentary on their politics. I think they have a great sports section, but. Is Julius Randle the comeback player of the year? I mean, they wanted to get rid of him. They wanted to run him out of town. Then it seems like Jalen Brunson. I mean, it couldn't have been, far exceeding whatever expectations you might have had for him coming in as a free agent in terms of solidifying things. And then I guess the third thing about this team that's kind of interesting is how is it that Tom Thibodeau, with access to the most luxurious and fashionable of free apparel, just looks like a schlump. Looks like some guy that you would find on the opposite side of some seedy newsstand next to the guy that was selling hot dogs on 42nd Street. I mean, how is it possible to look that bad as an NBA head coach?
It's a fair question. It's a fair question.
These are the important things that we need to address on the program here, Sean.
Yeah, no, somebody had mentioned on the broadcast, I think when they were playing the Celtics, that he's been single for 25 years. And, and they showed him. I was like, well, I think it's not difficult to put the correlation together.
He just looks like a beaten man. Yeah, I mean, he looks
really does.
depressed.
Yeah. He puts, he needs a hobby. I think that's for sure. But you mentioned Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, and I think that kind of folds into the Josh Hart part of the equation as well. Is the Knicks for so long have chased the shiny object. That's been for 20 years. That's what they've done, and it gets them deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole, and they try to spend their way out of it by chasing another shiny object, and that hasn't worked. So you've got to give them some credit. They didn't make the move for Donovan Mitchell, which you can question. But if you added Donovan Mitchell to a core that had, they were already going to get a Brunson, they're going to add Mitchell to Brunson and R.J. Barrett. Now you've got a very small team that you're spending, $100 million a year on three guards, and that's not a great situation to be in. And rather than going for that, they held back. They held on to their picks, and they used one of their picks to get a guy like Josh Hart, who's a good role player, not expensive, not the shiny object, but one that actually fits their team. That kind of a different way that Leon Rose and that front office is operating that we haven't seen from the Knicks before. Rather than taking the first trade they could with Julius Randle, they chalked up last year to being just the best season. And now you see Randle is playing much, much better. So, there's a certain level of patience going on with the Knicks. I think that's something that we really haven't seen before. And, if you're a Knicks fan, that's got to make you happy because, the way they've operated in the past, where they've got to win, 45 games to get knocked out of the playoffs tomorrow. They've got to do that every year. That's gone, and they're operating much more like an intelligent franchise, which is not something we said about the Knicks in the last 2 decades.
Well, Sean, you and Defo flirted with talking about the Heat. And we talked with you were actually reporting a lot before the trade deadline about the Heat, of how they were going to make this move and that move. And they were trying, and they were able to acquire Kevin Love and Cody Zeller, who both have had small imprints since they've joined the Heat. But the Heat have looked like the team chasing the shiny object the last 2 years and falling flat. And they've now just ran it back 2 straight years. And a group that was one shot away from being in the finals is firmly in the play-in tournament right now. Where are the Heat? And yes, I don't see titles for them, but what do you see this offseason being for them? Because it feels like it's time for them to retool this group. That whole message is worn out. It's welcome. Feels like that's the case with this group right now.
Yeah, I mean, they went chest deep on Kyle Lowry, and they're paying the price for that. That's where they are. They didn't want to go into the luxury tax. They did create a little bit of room for themselves with the Dedmon thing, but it wasn't enough to really make it significant to where they could bring on enough salary and not go into luxury tax. Which is an odd position for the Heat to be in. I think McGarrison has generally been willing to pay the tax, but when you're a general manager, when you're in the front office, if you're going to pay the tax, you've got to be able to justify it. And I don't think there was any way to justify, going deep into the tax for this team as it stood. They were looking at Kelly Olynyk, they were looking at Jake Crowder, and thought they had some deals for them. Ultimately, they decided that Caleb Martin, and keeping him, they would have had to trade Caleb Martin in any deal. That keeping him and trying their hand at the buyout market, I think they probably had a tip off that Kevin Love was going to do what he did and ask for the buyout from Cleveland, because as soon as that happened, there was a promise from the Heat that, hey, look, you come to us and we'll make you a starter. Not only will you get some minutes, we're going to put you right in the starting lineup, and there was no other team that was going to be willing to do that. So, they ultimately decided that was the right path. Was let's hold on to our assets, let's hold on to Caleb Martin and our picks, and hope that Kevin Love can come in and save the season. Now, as you've seen, he hasn't been that great, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy already. So, that's the gamble that they took. Really, it's you still got Kyle Lowry looming over you, and that's going to be a real problem for them for the next couple of years, and for a group that's getting older. Jimmy Butler, I forget how old he was, 33, 34.
Early 30s, yeah.
Yeah. So that's it's tough because you're gonna waste his last good years because of the heavy investment in Kyle Lowry. That's kind of where the Heat are sitting at this point.
He's hanging like the same dead weight that Dion Waiters was after he got that big deal from Pat Riley. I mean, for all of the slick moves that Pat has made, including, coming up with the hair, a couple of these things, Loomis being somewhat bozoic. It sort of answered my question, which would be, do you feel the Heat are snookered right now?
Yep.
I mean, and not just this year, but I mean in the immediate future. I mean, are they not in a real rough spot?
Yeah, I mean, look, what they'll have to do if they're going to get out of this is be willing to put Kyle Lowry in a package with picks. They've gotten out of the hole with their picks where they can't trade any picks.
Yeah.
They can now trade some picks. They've got Jovic, and a lot of teams do like Jovic. If you package Lowry, who next year will be going into the final year of his contract, so that makes it a little more movable. If you package that, package Lowry with a pick and Jovic, you could bring back somebody who could change the immediate future, but that's the only way that's going to happen. There's if you're going to just cross your fingers that Kyle Lowry is going to get back in shape and be the guy that you thought he was going to be, then that's you're going to wind up right back where you are right now. So that's probably their best path to getting themselves out of the hole that they're in.
Did the bat phone ring in the Houston Rockets coach's office when and Tillman Fertitta probably very angrily calling and saying, "What the hell are you doing?" I almost said, "What the fuck are you doing?" Beating the San Antonio Spurs by 32 when we have a shot at Wemby. I mean, is that not one of the more exciting races to see who can tank better to the wire there, Houston or Detroit?
Yeah, they are, and you got to throw San Antonio in the
Spurs are right there.
Right
yeah,
there.
and I mean, Pop isn't sticking around, to get bludgeoned every night like this. I don't think.
No, that's right. That's right. And
yeah,
and the feeling has always been that Pop will stick around until he feels like he's leaving the franchise in good hands. I feel a lot better about the hands if it's Victor Wembanyama rather than Scoot Henderson.
Yes.
And that's just you talk to scouts, you talk to people around the league. That's the feeling. So there's no question that race is going to be worth watching, and that a lot of what's going to happen in the league this summer is going to depend on who wins that race and who winds up with winning, who wins that lottery. Because once you get some answers to that. Then you're going to see some of these teams really, whether it's Detroit or San Antonio or Houston, they all have cap space. So now those guys are going to be players in the free agent market. They're going to look to trade some of the guys they've got. They're going to, it's going to be a complete overhaul, and it's all going to depend on who wins that lottery. So there's going to be bigger implications than just who gets Wembanyama. It's going to be the trade market and the free agent market is going to be hugely impacted as well.
What the hell happened to the Warriors this year? And I get it, Curry missed 11 games, but Curry played a lot of the year. And the record actually is very similar with Curry and without Curry this year. They just haven't been good. And a lot of people, including myself, been waiting for them to turn it on. Kuminga, Moody, Wiseman did not take us. The Heat and the Warriors remind me a lot of each other, having young guys that they really thought would turn a corner this year that did not turn a corner. And their veterans are now getting older. Green is a shell of himself. Curry and Thompson still can play, but they're not the Splash Brothers they once were. Like, with 15 games left, can they? Look, they're sitting in the top 6 seed because the West is sort of parity filled, but can they make any kind of a run? Because it feels like it's the Suns and the Nuggets and then everyone else to me.
If they don't have to play another game on the road, then I would expect the Warriors to be a championship contender. The problem is that the NBA schedule requires that they occasionally leave San Francisco. So that's then the real problem. I mean, their record on the road is 7-24. You know, we were talking about the Spurs and the Rockets. The Spurs and Rockets are 6-27. So, you know, they're like two games better than the worst teams in the league. They're 27-7 at home. So, you know, it's really tough. You talk to other coaches and stuff like that. We don't want to play the Warriors in the playoffs because if they were to get it together on the road, then, you know, you just got to win one game in the 7-game series and protect your own home court, and then they become pretty unbeatable. But they've just been so bad on the road. You're right about Curry. You know, they've been pretty good without Curry. Klay Thompson playing without Curry.
Playing well, yeah.
27 points a game without Curry. So, I mean, you know, he's looked like the old Klay Thompson when he needs to. Kuminga's played much better lately. Moses Moody has really busted out this year. Obviously, James Wiseman's saying he's been a bust this year. So much so that they sent him to Detroit. So, it's hard to see where the turnaround is going to come from if they can't win on the road. They've got to be able to do that. And it's really bizarre that a veteran team like that can't find a way to get wins away from their own building.
Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, basketball expert, NBA expert with us here. Been covering the league for a long time. You have to play, mini psychiatrist and psychologist in the sporting journalism mode here. And can you put your finger on, when Jean Morant became Suge Knight?
I know.
This guy, I mean, we were talking about yesterday. I seem to recall like kind of a humble guy comes into the league there. He was in the shadow of Zion in his senior year, and a lot of people thought he might be better than Zion Williamson, certainly because of the fact that he plays. He's been far superior to Zion Williamson overall, and has led this dynamic Memphis Grizzlies team, very entertaining to watch. What is this guy doing? What happened to him? Is there any word as to or speculation as to what actually is transpiring with John Morant? And is he coming back to the league quickly?
Yeah, no, I mean they're not going to let him come back. You know, a lot of this is sort of NBA mandated that they're doing a quote unquote investigation, but this is also sort of a punishment. There was some, obviously, look, he comes out of Murray State and he's a great story and he's fun to watch. And, he certainly there was no signs of any of this other stuff, but there's been some concern growing from what I understand, that, he got this entourage and the entourage is getting bigger and it's getting a little more Iverson-esque and then you wind up seeing this. I don't know what compels players to go on Instagram Live. Go on Instagram Live after a game. Like if it's after 10 p.m., don't turn on Instagram.
Exactly.
Just don't. That's the rule among NBA players. Nothing good happens. So, but yeah, I don't know. It is bizarre. It is unexpected. It was not his reputation coming in. It was not a concern about him coming in. But it seems to be something that has developed. Especially and I don't want to sound like I'm back in the early 2000s complaining about Allen Iverson and all that, but that was something that was a big concern from the league, and here we are 20 years later, and it's the same sort of thing where it's not so much the guy that you're worried about, it's the people that are around him, and I think that's a concern that's been developing in Memphis over the last year and a half, 2 years.
Oh, we've lost it. Yeah, Defo's internet's in and out. Mr. Sean Devaney, appreciate you joining us here, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks a lot for your time.
Okay, thanks, guys. Sorry about that.
No, it's not you. I appreciate it. We're going to take a break. When we get back, we're going to talk with the man who saved Defo and the stain, Mr. Michael Kotze, right here on the Defo Show. It'll be here on South Florida Live.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Don't gamble in anger.
She hit the daily.
Very calm. Think it through. If you need a little help, don't gamble in anger.
I get a panicked phone call, and he says, "Do you have any extra cash?" I go, "Yeah, I brought money with me to Atlantic City." He goes, "Well, I can't get any more out of the card because the Mustang went wild and emptied the daily allotment of cash."
Double nickels, man. She went for a nickel on her card and a nickel on mine.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
Let's go to...
Pleasure to be back with you here on the Defo Show. We had a little technical glitch there right at the end of the Sean Devaney interview. I did want to run it by him and see if it's true that all of the Hawks hate Trae Young. Because nobody likes the chucker. You don't mind winning if you're going to hold the court, but you start to see the excess and guys just taking shot after shot from the Coke machine, and you really don't want to be on that guy's team. You'd rather go out there, try and beat him, and the Heat managed to do that twice against Trae Young and the Hawks, which could turn out to be significant. All right, this is great. I mentioned this earlier. I got this letter from the bank, Lubie, and we want to introduce a new sponsor here on the program. And, wow, you talk about doing a dynamite job and doing a job right. That's what this gentleman is all about, Michael Kotze, who we introduce now. And Michael Kotze with Choice Mortgage Bank has been, troubleshooting loans for people for a long, long time. And in my case, I can't tell you, Lubie, you know how relentless you are sometimes about asking me for money that I owe you?
Yes, I'm aware.
This man, I mean, wow. When he says he doesn't work banker's hours, he is absolutely giving you the outright truth. We welcome from Choice Mortgage Bank, Michael Conci, to the show. Michael, how are you? Good to have you on the program.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm okay because it's interesting. I was referencing this. I got a letter. I had applied for the loan that you ultimately got for me in a short period of time, and and it wasn't necessarily easy because there was some funky stuff that banks would normally consider to be on the fugazi side involved with my finances. But I had most of the criteria in place. Now I applied for this loan with Centennial Bank, which has been my bank for a long time, and the people are great to me there, but they don't, they're not involved in the loan department. I just got this letter yesterday after 6 months with these guys. It says, can you please provide for us hazard insurance quote, corrected letter of explanation, credit inquiries signed and dated, pay stubs covering the most recent 30-day period for a second job with year-to-date income listed, 2020 1040. I mean, it goes on to list about 20 more items that they need to consider my loan. And I called them right back and said, why don't you guys just call Michael Conci? Because you got it done for me in like 2 weeks' time and hammered your way through red tape like no man I've ever seen. How are you able to do this? And it is true, Michael. You're not going to stop until the job is done.
We're a lot different than the banks. First of all, I have 30 years plus of experience, number one. Number two is, we know how to structure deals. It's not my first rodeo closing a refinance or a purchase. So we know how to structure deals. We don't over document you. We have also something called common sense underwriting. So if you have decent credit, you have equity, and you're out there working, we'll get your loan closed. I mean, it's not rocket science here. These banks make them a lot more complicated. They're a lot more regulated than I am. And frankly, our rates and our terms are more competitive, as you can see with what we did for you. So our rates are better. Our terms are better. It's not as onerous as it is going to a bank with tons and tons of documents. Look, it took them 6 months to get back to you. I close you in a few weeks. I mean, come on, really? So that's that's the message out there to your listeners. If you want to close on your home mortgage, get a competitive rate and term, you must give me a call. And my number is 561-441-2730. That's 561-441-2730. I do accept texting. So if you can't talk, you're more than welcome to send me a text. This is my personal cell phone number, Jeff.
Yeah.
This is not, you're not getting looped around with a secretary. You're not, it's not going to a crazy phone system with extensions and looping around and nonsense. You're getting my cell phone. I pick up the phone, I answer, I listen, and I help you. And if I can't help you, I'll tell you I can't help you. But chances are I could. We do reverse mortgages. We do no income verification loans. The big one right now, Jeff, is cash out refinances for people that are struggling paying their homeowners insurance, their property taxes. Sometimes they have IRS liens. So we're helping people do that with the rates. And granted, the rates aren't as low as what they were during the pandemic. The rates are still competitive. So right now, if you're paying credit card debt of 28, 29, 30%, I'm refinancing a gentleman that has $200,000 in credit card debt but has equity in his home. He's paying 30%.
Wow.
In interest. 30%.
That's a lot of juice.
Imagine the cash flow. If I take that debt, wrap it into the house, get you the low prevailing rate now, saving him thousands of dollars, tax deductions, better cash flow, and everyone's happy. So, and his credit scores pop. They go back to the high 700. So there's so many things I can do for your listeners out there. If you have equity in a home, or if you're looking to buy a home, I have wonderful first-time home buyer programs, which is as little as 3.5% down. And if you're a vet, 100% financing. No money down if you're a veteran. That's no money down. And you can get seller concessions of up to 4%. So could you imagine buying a $500,000 house with no money down and having the sellers pay your closing costs if you're a vet? It's
fantastic.
No-brainer.
Yeah. And you're being humble because you do answer every call, no matter how insane the question might be, and you're very patient with everybody.
Were you and I talking on the Super Bowl?
Yeah, and you're relentless when it comes to, getting through, as I said, the red tape, because, unfortunately, even though my place is a townhouse, it's categorized as a condo, and that can put up like a brick wall like you've never seen
Oh, the condos
in terms of trying to get accomplished, any kind of loan accomplished, and you cut right through that, man. I mean, you stopped just short of pulling your car up to the guy next door and saying, "Hey, where's the president of the homeowners association? We need to talk right now." And it's the only way to get it done.
We specialize in condo lending, and it's very tricky right now, especially with what happened with Surfside a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
you have
makes
to
a
have
difference.
Insurances in place now. You have to have the right budget. These condos have to have the sufficient master insurance policies. They can't have pending lawsuits. So I know all that language. You don't know that language. Your listeners don't. I do. I handle that headache for you. This is what I do. So if you own a condo out there, you must give me a call. And again, I'll repeat my number. It's 561-441-2730. That's 561-441-2730. You could send me a text. You can call me after hours. I don't work banking hours only, Jeff.
That's true.
I work on the weekends. I work on a Sunday during the Miami Dolphins football game. You can call me on Friday night. You can call me on Saturday afternoon. I recognize during the week it's hard for you to pull away from your job. You have your supervisor, your boss looking over your shoulder. You have deadlines to meet. So I know that after hours, you're more relaxed. You're more, you could think calmly. You have your significant other with you where you could talk things out. And you know what? Also, chances are I know your real estate agent.
Yeah.
I answer the call. I talk to them on the weekends. I'll coach you. I'll direct you. I'll hold your hand. And my service is a white glove concierge level type service. You've seen it yourself. This is not a BS.
No, it was remarkable. It really was. Yeah. And like I said, I'm still getting these vague letters from the bank, searching for documents that don't exist. They actually asked me if I had a copy of the Magna Carta. They wanted to see also before they got into any further developments on the loan. All right, is there a website, Michael? It's Choice Mortgage Bank, Michael Kotze. I can vouch for this man. I've known him a long, long time. I always knew you to be a man of great integrity and, persistence when it came to this sort of thing and helping people out. And I will say I got a lower rate than I was quoted 6 months ago with the bank, even though my next call was either going to be the cash call or the money store if this didn't work out. And a very pessimistic Mustang, it was so frustrated with the process when I said, hey, I've got another guy that can get this done. She was like, yeah, sure. And then when she saw you in action there on that final day, when we came to your office, it was like, my God. I mean, where was this guy our entire lives? So, the number and the website where people can contact you.
So again, my phone number, again, it's my personal cell phone number. Again, you're not calling up, you're not calling my secretary. You're calling my cell phone, which is in my shirt pocket. And it's 561-441-2730. Write it down, folks. 561-441-2730. You could text me. You can call me. And if you want to check me out on the web, oh, by the way, you could check me on Choice Mortgage Reviews. I have almost a 5-star rating with my service, and you'll read the reviews and blogs of what I've done for all you South Florida homeowners. And you can check me out on the web at choicemortgageinc.com. That's choicemortgageinc.com. So I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, it's great. We did have Michael, somebody on our chat line asking, now, is this only in Florida, or can you handle a loan for somebody
Florida
out of state?
Colorado.
Colorado, okay.
I'm approved in Florida and Colorado. And just so you guys know out there, we do reverse mortgages, which is a big one, right? So if you're 62 and over and you have equity in your single family home, you got to give me a call, and you could, if you need to use some of that equity to live your life and to pay off debts. Plus, I have no income verification loans where I have no question asked loans. Again, this is not personal loans, but loans for real estate purchases. And the big one right now is cash out refinances for paying off your homeowner's insurance or making improvements to your home. So your roof and your structure to your property is insurable, because these insurance rates and this inflation right now that we're all experiencing, it's brutal. And you know that too.
I'm feeling pain. Yeah, for sure.
Especially which I coached and made you get and saved you thousands of dollars, which I would do to any of your listeners. So I know how to get things cheap, get things done fast when it's regards to your home mortgage.
Excellent job, Michael. Thank you so much. The cash hits the bank tomorrow, and this man did what couldn't be accomplished over 6 months by my bank, which I have a great relationship with, and he did it in less than 2 weeks' time. including a lot of Michigan stuff that comes when you have to deal with a homeowners association at a condo development. Michael Conci, Choice Mortgage Bank, thanks so much for all of your hard work. Really appreciate it, my friend.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, talk about a lifesaver there, man. Lipschitz was screaming, when are you going to get this loan? I'm like, listen, Louis, the money's coming, I can assure you. And even he suggested to me, listen, you want to get the job done? He tried to get some equity out of his home there, Louis, which, he's pretty flush from taking all this action all these years. And he said, call Michael Conci, Choice Mortgage Bank. The number, once again, Lubie, you had this thing flying around here.
I had it.
I had it right here. It just
561-441-2730.
I should know it. I dialed it enough times, man. And Michael is not kidding. Answered the phone like immediately every time. And if something was needed, I mean, he wasn't going to let me procrastinate on this for days, right? He was like, you got to move now, because things change in the financial world on a daily basis. So I can't recommend this guy any more wholeheartedly. It really was amazing, Louie, because, when you know somebody and then you see them swing into action, and they do what they do, and they've been telling you for years that they're best at it. And then when you see that they are, it's really a good thing. So we welcome Michael Conci as a new sponsor to the program here. We're going to have to put together a little, 30-second thing for him. And I didn't even get a chance to ask him about hockey because he has like 3 kids that are all NHL caliber, I think. Unbelievable. All right. Hey, a lot of fun being with you. Jim Sarney. And I was asked a question earlier today by somebody who I have great respect for. Why are we listening to Jim Sarney? Because we love the guy. And he's right. He's like that. He would be like the Lou Grant if he was a sports editor. Would he not? Why don't we have a story on this? You're writing again about the Knicks? What, are you kidding me? Who wants to talk football? Okay, so I do dig this. I love Weenie Schools making it to the NCAA tournament. We mentioned earlier Furman over Chattanooga. Mm-hmm. If you see this buzzer beater that knocked Furman out of the NCAA tournament, they hadn't been there since 1980, Louis. The two teams met in the Southern Conference Championship game a year ago, Chattanooga and Furman, same matchup. And Furman has not been to the tournament, literally, I mean, what is that, 43 years? That's a long time out of the money. I mean, and they get beat on one of the, just ugliest buzzer beaters to lose to that you will ever see under the circumstances, where they take the lead late in the game and a guy comes down, they got a 2-point lead, and a guy comes down, chucks one up, desperation, 3-pointer, goes right through the hoop. Chattanooga goes to the big dance. Furman, they were left lane. They had chalk outlines of some of the players there, still on the court from a year ago. And they win it this time kind of handily, so they're going to the NCAA tournament. They punched their ticket, Louis. How many times are we going to hear that?
Every day. The next 2
Are you a fan of the selection show, or do you find it ponderous?
I stopped
right?
That a decade ago. I haven't watched that. Joe Lunardi and the selection shows. Because he's never right. He's always
Lunardi's a lunatic though with this first 4 in. What does it mean to be the first 4 out?
I don't know. I think he's a psycho. So I stopped giving a shit about Lunardi like 5 or 6 years ago, and the selection shows I stopped watching like 10 years ago. Like, they're just annoying. They just drag it out for no reason.
Oh, my God. Here you go. Here are the number 1 seeds. And, whoa, look at that. Duke got another one.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people thought that at 13 and 16, the Duke Blue Devils didn't deserve a number 1 seed. But, Coach K, you know what kind of weight this man carries? And you're sitting there in stunned disbelief, that somehow, Duke is the number 1 seed again. Won't be this year, although they surged a little bit at the end of the year.
I think
under this John Shire guy. He had him playing better basketball. North Carolina and Hubert Davis is a team that's getting trashed. Yeah. And I believe would be like, prominently in the first 4 out. Probably not going to make the tournament unless they win the
deep title,
the ACC tournament.
They have to make a deep tournament run. They probably have to win 2 or 3 games because I think they're over 500, but their record and the ACC sucked this year. The ACC was super.
They had like 1 sort of quad 1 win. Is that what they call it now?
I guess.
I don't know if it's a quality win, but against like teams that actually have above 500 records, they have like 1 win. So that's something ridiculous. I'm not sure that that's the stat, but I think they're like 1-9 in 10 games against so-called quad 1s. What qualifies you as a quad 1?
Maybe top 25.
Top 25?
Maybe, I don't know.
Wouldn't that just be against ranked teams? Why would it be characterized as the quad 1? Like I called the quad.
Means. The top 15? I don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah, they've been bad this year. And a lot of people now are pointing fingers at Davis, who is always a very well-respected guy.
I mean, they were in the final.
They were in the Final Four last year, and they returned all of their starters.
They were in the
title game. That's right. Yeah.
And almost won.
Yeah.
They pushed Kansas to the brink. Like, he's fine. You're not going to the, and it was his first year.
And they brought back almost everybody, right?
Yeah, I mean, they should have been better.
Had a significant transfer, and they sucked.
They should have been better, but he's not going. I mean, you're not.
No, he's not going anywhere. He's got too much history there, right?
Yes, he's.
Are you kidding me?
Coached on the bench for years. Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
No, it would be literally a disgrace to cut this guy loose after this year. Anyway, getting very interesting. A lot of weenie teams have already, punched their ticket to the big dance. That's always exciting for me.
Yes, sir.
And now you can only hope. I don't know which one of these teams is going to win a game. There has to be one or more of these teams that are coming in out of these small-time conferences that actually wins a game this year. So that'll be the interesting thing to look at. And then, of course, does the ACC tournament begin today?
I think so, yes.
So you would have Miami getting a bye, no doubt, in the first round as the number one seed. Okay.
Yeah, Miami's not playing.
How many teams are in the ACC? Like 50? There are a lot of teams in there. They got,
I think there's 16 or
2 divisions of 20 teams.
I think it's 16 or 14 for now.
All right, we have to run. It was a lot of fun being with you. Thanks to Sean Devaney. Now, Michael Conci is the real deal, and you will definitely benefit from his services. Please don't hesitate to give the man a call at 561-441-2730. I can tell you this. I was getting into a little cash flow jackpot, and things are going to be okay. They're all fine, but unfortunately, a bunch of stuff kind of collided all at once of a very large in terms of expense. No, it wasn't gambling debts or losses on the Super Bowl or anything like that, just life in general, right? And, so I had never intended to put every dime I had into this joint, but I ended up doing it. Because, again, I was having trouble getting a mortgage because I'm self-employed, Lubie. They don't buy it.
Yeah.
You could show them, invoices and receipts and everything, but they don't buy it. They figure you're self-employed. Here they are asking me for, pay stubs from a job I don't have. How am I going to produce that, Lubie? Obviously, you're not getting the money. I mean, this could have gone on forever. And, the guy's now telling me I have till April 1st to produce this documentation. I've already got the money because of Michael Conci.
Yeah, you're done. Yeah.
An amazing job, honestly. I mean, you know what? When you get somebody, we endorsed Catholic Health Services for many years here on the show. And when you get a company like that delivers beyond the scope of your wildest imagination, I can't say enough good things about what this man did for me. 561-441-2730, Choice Mortgage Bank, Michael Conci. All right, with that, I leave all of you flush because we're going to need the money. We have things coming up. We have the tournament to bet on. We have the playoffs coming up in hockey and basketball. We have the Triple Crown races and the Florida Derby going to take place. I mean, all of these great prep races, the Santa Anita Derby, and everything's still on the horizon here in the 3-year-old scene. We're going to need cash, people. And did you ever see the disclaimer on Cash Call? Not to, if they called and wanted to be a sponsor, I don't know that we would recommend them because we can't recommend to our loyal listeners that you get creamed in seeking a loan.
No.
Creamed. No. So call Conci. All right, we'll see you guys later on, 12 o'clock today. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. And for Mike Lubie Lewitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Don't forget about Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway. Great place to chill out. And I think once I get this cash tomorrow, I'm going to plan a little weekend in the Keys, right? Because the stress of all of this has gotten to the Mustang, I think, even more so than me. And when the stress gets to the wife, guess who it gets passed along to?
Yes, you.
Even the most calm of individuals, right? Here I am. Nam Yoho Renge Kyo. And you start getting a little bit, irritated with things like, what are you telling me about this for, huh? Call the bank. All right, we'll see you at 12 o'clock as we leave you know that.
The time.
Or call Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. I want to book a weekend down there, Lubie. It's maybe the weekend we do the show. It's 9:05.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.